For decades, we've been told that type 2 diabetes is a lifelong condition. But what if that wasn't the whole story? Well, today we're going to dive into some absolutely groundbreaking science that is completely flipping our understanding of it on its head.
And this is the question for millions of people, right? Getting a type 2 diabetes diagnosis has always felt like this progressive, lifelong disease that you can only ever manage, but never really escape. But what's the science really telling us now?
Well, the incredible answer is no. Modern medical science is now confirming that for many people, type 2 diabetes is not a life sentence at all. It can actually be put into remission. And that one word, remission, it changes the entire game.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to ask, is it really a reversible condition? Then we'll get into the science of how that reversal works. After that, we'll look at a proven three-phase plan, what eating for remission looks like, and finally, what the path forward is.
All right, first things first, let's talk about redefining what this diagnosis even means today, because this is a huge shift in thinking, and believe me, it's backed by some really powerful new evidence.
So, what are we even talking about when we say remission? This isn't some fuzzy idea. It has a very clear clinical definition. It means getting your blood sugar levels back to normal and keeping them there, all without needing diabetes medications. That, right there, is the goal.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how on earth is this even possible? Well, to get the solution, you first have to understand the real cause. And, spoiler alert, it's probably not what you think. This is where the science gets really cool.
For so long, everyone pointed the finger at sugar. But it turns out the real culprit, the main driver of type 2 diabetes, is actually excess fat that's built up in places it just doesn't belong. We're talking deep inside of your liver and your pancreas.
There's this brilliant scientific model for it called the twin cycle hypothesis. So here's the gist of it. Excess fat builds up in the liver, which makes the liver pump out way too much sugar. Then that fat kind of spills over into the pancreas, which messes up the cells that make insulin. But, and this is the key takeaway, this whole cycle can be reversed. If you can reduce that internal fat, the organs can start working properly again.
Look, a theory is great and all, but you need proof, right? Well, that proof came in a big way from a landmark study called the Diabetes Remission Clinical Trial, or DIRECT for short. They put this whole idea to the test with real people.
And the results? Honestly, they were jaw-dropping. Get this, in just 1 year, almost half, a whopping 46% of the people in the trial achieved remission from type 2 diabetes. Just let that sink in. This wasn't some tiny footnote study. This was a massive, undeniable breakthrough.
So, the big question is, how did they pull off such incredible results? It wasn't a magic pill. It was a very specific, structured program that was based on solid science. Let's break down that pathway.
The whole thing breaks down into 3 key phases. Phase 1 is a period of rapid weight loss, and it's medically supervised. The goal was to lose about 15 kilograms, that's roughly 33 pounds, to really target that harmful internal fat. Then comes Phase 2, a slow and steady reintroduction of healthy, whole foods. And finally, Phase 3 is all about long-term maintenance, a sustainable plan to keep up the healthy habits for good.
Now, it is so important to get this. We're talking about a serious medical intervention here. The researchers themselves are really clear on this. This isn't some fad diet or a quick fix you see online. It's a proven path that is backed by years of research and requires real commitment.
Okay, so you get through that initial phase. What happens next? What does eating for the long haul to stay in remission actually look like? This is your nutritional blueprint.
The good news is, the principles are pretty straightforward. You're really focusing on loading up your plate with things like veggies that aren't starchy, good lean proteins, beans and lentils, and healthy fats. And at the same time, you're dialing way back on the stuff we all know can cause trouble. Sugary drinks, white bread and pasta, ultra-processed snacks, you get the idea.
To make this real, let's just walk through what a typical day might look like. And as you can see, this isn't about starving yourself. It's about delicious, satisfying meals built around real food. You could have Greek yogurt with berries for breakfast, a big salad with grilled salmon for lunch, and maybe a great chicken stir-fry for dinner.
All right, so we've covered the what, the why, and the how. Let's wrap up by talking about the path forward and some really crucial things to keep in mind if this is something you're thinking about.
Okay, and I cannot stress this enough. This is non-negotiable. You absolutely have to do this with a doctor or a healthcare professional. It's so important, especially because your medications will probably need to be adjusted as you go. And just remember, remission isn't a one-and-done thing. It's all about consistency for the long run.
So look, if there is just one thing you take away from all this, I want it to be this. The science is clear. The evidence is solid. For a huge number of people, type 2 diabetes does not have to be the permanent condition we all thought it was. There is a real, proven path to remission.
And that really leaves us with one final and pretty hopeful question. As this knowledge starts to move out of clinical trials and into your local doctor's office, could this science be the turning point that literally changes the future for millions of people all around the world?